This petroglyph panel you're about to see is absolutely beautiful. It's an immaculate shape. There's no modern graffiti or defacement or anything like that. The canyon it's located in used to be a very remote canyon, and it still is, but unfortunately in recent times they've built a dirt road through here. So I'm very concerned about it, and I don't want people to deface it or carve their name in it and stupid stuff like that. So do me a favor, if you live in the Uinta Basin and you recognize this panel or you think you know where it is, just help me to keep it secret, and that way we can protect this ancient piece of our history. This is the panel I was telling you about, and man, is she a beauty. The Indian on the horse, that would be a Ute Indian petroglyph. That's probably around, say, about 200 years old. The rest of the petroglyphs would be classified as Fremont or Desert Archaic, and they typically date from about 800 to 2,000 years old. Some people believe they're even older than that. But this is the symbol that I want to draw your attention to. Right there. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I recognize that. I've seen that somewhere, but you probably can't quite place it. And you'd be correct. This is called the Caduceus symbol. And the modern medical establishment has, in many cases, adopted this symbol. So there's a good chance you've probably seen it at your local hospital, in your local pharmacy, or maybe on the side of an ambulance or something like that. This is one of the most ancient symbols known to mankind. It dates back to Mesopotamia with the Sumerians. And keep in mind that Mesopotamia, that's the cradle of civilization. From Mesopotamia, it spread throughout the ancient world. It spread to India in the Far East. It spread to the ancient Greeks, the ancient Egyptians, and all the cultures and people in between. And in Mesopotamia, where it originated, and this originated, they estimate, about 5,000 years ago. So this symbol has been in use for about 5,000 years. And in all these ancient cultures, wherever it ended up, it pretty much kept its basic form, like you see right here. You have the shaft, and then you'll have the two serpents, and the two serpents will usually intertwined about 6 or 7 times, just like you have here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the serpents will come together and face each other. And when this would spread, the symbol throughout the ancient world, it would take on different meanings. These different cultures would borrow this symbol, and the different meanings they would apply to it usually had something to do with their particular gods. But where the symbol originated at in Mesopotamia, the original meaning was wisdom. This symbol stood for wisdom. And how it was interpreted was you had the shaft, which represented mankind, and then you had the two serpents, the two snakes. The first snake stood for knowledge and wisdom. The second snake, that was to remind you that snakes have the potential to carry deadly venom, and if they bite you, you will die. So the meaning was pursue wisdom, pursue knowledge, but always be mindful that this can potentially lead to your downfall, to your doom. As this symbol spread to ancient Greece, it became the symbol for Hermes. And if you remember your Greek mythology, Hermes was the messenger between the gods and mankind. And so wings were added to the symbol. And you see that a lot in Western civilization. And these wings were to represent Hermes flying back and forth between the gods and mankind. And the Egyptians, they had a belief where it worked somehow like individuals, regardless of your sex, it didn't matter if you're male or female, but all persons contained masculine and feminine traits. I think it was like these two energies. And if these traits became imbalanced, it created chaos in your life. And so for the Egyptians, the two serpents personified Isis and Osiris. And Osiris represented masculinity, and Isis represented femininity. And then the 6 coils of the snake around the shaft, that represented like your struggles in life with trying to take control of these emotions and bring them into balance. And then if or when you could bring these two energies into balance, the two serpents would face each other, and that represented that everything was in balance. The shaft, that represented like your backbone or your spinal cord. And so once everything came into balance, you could then stand upright because you were in perfect health, perfect harmony. And make no mistake about it, if we weren't in a desert in rural Utah right now, looking at this symbol, say we were in Mesopotamia, Egypt, India, Greece, we were on some archaeological dig, and we found a broken piece of pottery, and it had this symbol exactly identical to as you see it right now. And this symbol was embedded on that pottery. And we took it to the archaeologist who was in charge of cataloging all the finds. He would catalog that piece of pottery as a broken pottery shard with a Caduceus symbol embedded on it. Guaranteed, no doubt in my mind, he wouldn't even bat an eye. And some ancient person stood right here where I am now a very long time ago, and he etched this ancient symbol that came from the old world into this rock. He learned that from someone taught him this symbol, this ancient symbol of mankind, and we have a clue of who that person was, and it's right here. That is a man wearing a turban, and that is a turban with the top knot on it. That man did not come from here. He came from somewhere far away across the sea. This is not a depiction of an indigenous person of North America. And I think that's what this whole panel is. It's a story about this contact that the people who lived here in the Uinta Basin of Utah thousands of years ago had with these ancient travelers. And these ancient travelers, part of their symbol was this. And I think right here you have, this is how I would interpret this. These ancient people came from a land far, far away, and they traveled a great distance. See, here they are here. There's their caravan. And they continued on their path, traveling over the land, and they eventually made their way here, right here, where we are right now in northeastern Utah. And this whole panel, this beautiful panel, is one gigantic story talking about this ancient encounter that these Indians had with these ancient travelers from on the other side of the world. And it's the whole message is embedded in this ancient language, this ancient symbolism that's been long forgotten, that we call petroglyphs. And I think us as being mankind, humanity, I believe we've lost a lot of information about our history. We don't fully understand or comprehend just how far and how wide our ancestors traveled. And I think there was a lot more interaction between different groups of people, even on the other side of oceans, than we give them credit for. And I think when you find something like this, it's just a little glimpse, a little shadow of that former past, that forgotten history, and it kind of brings back that reality.